Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Aquatic Center in Hobart. Joining me in the commentary is Emily from under 23, under 19s team.
Canada U23.
Under 23s. Yeah, how you been going? I noticed you were short on numbers. We'll see how the boys go against a strong Turkish team.
Yeah, we were a bit short on numbers this morning. We're not sure if one girl broke her hand, and then we have another one who's a bit sick right now. So
has she been off to get some X-rays done in the local facilities?
We're just gonna wait it out for one day and kind of see if it's just a sprain or if it's actually broken and needs to be checked out more.
Well, hopefully all the best, because I can relate, because I had one of my players in South Africa and broke his hand in a round robin game, and that was his tournament right there. A shout out to Matty Payne if he's watching, but. He might be watching this because he had to miss the final against Turkey. But as we started, we're seeing Turkey in black. The Canadians shouting their I'll call it off-white. What do you call it? A bit of a gray-white in your uniform?
It's like a pixelated white. It's speckled.
Pixelated white, and you said pickle. That's a good one. I haven't heard that expression. And by the way, Emma, where's your toque?
I did not buy a toque.
Oh, okay. So
yeah.
They weren't provided as part of the uniform. We were thinking these were prize possessions that were given to you by your sponsors.
No, these were used as fundraising for one of the teams. So they were selling toques so they could get here.
Yeah, it's a long way. How did you come? You come via Hawaii and then into Melbourne, then down to Hobart?
I currently live in Whitehorse in the Yukon. So I went from Whitehorse to Vancouver, and then Vancouver to Sydney direct, and then Sydney to Hobart.
How much hockey you play up in the Yukon, Emma?
I'm only there for 4 months for my job, so none.
Right. So you might find this too personal, but what do you do up in the Yukon? Are you on the oil tourism, or you a fisher person?
I'm an engineering student, so I've been doing transportation engineering. So I've been working in the airport division.
In the airport, not on the rails, but airplane engineering or airport engineering?
Like airport runways and taxiways and making sure that airports are up to standard.
What do you think of our new airport in Hobart? We had the turkeys are pressing right on the Canadian goal here. And they're doing it as per normal with all players down the bottom trying to drive it in against the strong Canadian defense. There's number 3 effort, there's a 4 effort, but sounds like we have a referee call. Obstruction being called by number 21 referee. The airport out in Hobart, we had it because the planes are getting bigger and faster and able to travel longer. So we had to expand our airport to allow the international flights that we're expecting next year. And you haven't seen the new runway part, did you? It's probably dark and raining down at the airport.
No, not really. It reminded me more of the Victoria Airport in Canada, because that's one where you often walk off the stairs off the plane instead of having a bridge. So it kind of felt like home getting off.
Oh, excellent. And you've been enjoying your stay here in Hobart. Where's the Canadian team? You all together in one spot?
No, all 4 teams are in separate spots. We're up at the Riverfront Motel and Villas. So it's like 15-minute drive north.
Okay, 15 minutes away. Geez, you're on the outskirts of Hobart, because everywhere that's 15 minutes away, that's considered a long way out in Hobart standards. And as we see the Canadians once again under the attack of Mekkan, one of the attackers in the Turkish team, and we got some good rotation defense, particularly by number 4 there, Remy. We were commenting yesterday about Remy's last name, and that is quite a mouthful. Is there meant to be some hyphens in there?
He taught me how to say it once, and I don't want to try.
Fair enough, Emma. I'm sorry to keep putting you on the spot there, but I don't know if you noticed, but I'm not really Australian. I am Australian, but I grew up in Toronto. And
okay. East
so,
Coast.
I guess I'm throwing you off with my accent because I can see you. Don't turn any more red on us. I know the viewers can't say it, but you're doing a fantastic job, and I'll start making the joke. Do we have a goal scored by the Turkish team? Do we get the number on that one? I'm watching the replay, so it looks like a bit of a a goal's been awarded for Turkey. Yeah, unfortunately, we'll bring that number. It looks like number 3 signaling Merton Roll. He's signaling he scored the goal. So we'll mark it down in that until we get further confirmation. But yeah, number 3, Mitros Rolls. As the game started, and straight away, the Canadian defense has been put under extreme pressure again by that Turkish onslaught. Emma, have you seen such an onslaught in hockey when a team of that size dominate? And yes, unfortunately, the goal's gone in. Before I can stop handing it over to you, go, Emma.
I'm pretty happy that the Canadians were able to hold them out for the first 5 minutes with just 1 goal. I guess now it's 2, but I think that shows that they can get in the pool and push right off the bat.
Yeah, and number 12 looks like Sina Dimitris has put that goal in for Turkey to take a 2-goal lead with over just probably about 4 minutes played in the game. And as we pan in onto the Turkish team, ready to rice out for the next strike, Emma. And how long have you been playing hockey, Emma?
I've been playing for 5 years. I started in Calgary, and then I've been playing in Vancouver during university.
Okay, so you were during the university program at UBC. In 1990, you traveled as the coach for the Australian team, and we had a few games in there in the Vancouver potluck game. You still having a potluck game in Vancouver?
We practice 3 times a week, twice at the UBC Aquatic Center, and then once out in Burnaby.
And where was that again?
Burnaby, it's on the outskirts of Vancouver.
Right.
But in the lower mainland area.
And the Turkish team, again, is all over that tray, but the Canadians seem to be defending well this time and trying to get out of the side. I noticed the Canadian style in both the ladies and the guys seem to be more of what we would describe as a box, as unfortunately the Turkish has put another goal in. And the refs are signaling, and it looks like that looks like a number 9 to me. It looks like Burhan Varasasa, and who put the 3rd Turkish goal in. The style I was trying to describe is sort of a box formation. You go to the wall and try to keep it within that box to contain the other side.
Yeah, I'd agree. We like playing up the channel. Obviously against Turkey, I don't think they want to be smashing on the wall against them because they're a bunch of big guys. So I think they're probably trying to play next to the wall but near it.
Yeah, trying to contain the onslaught, and I think that was number 6, Sadet. We had confirmation, not number 13, but we're getting some. We'll get that fixed on the screen eventually, but we're just trying to maintain a visual of the game happening.
Looks like the boys are cycling well in the corner, and they were able to save it there. Lots of Canadian players on the bottom. They were able to take it out, and hopefully they can regroup here and then start to drive up the wall.
Yeah, thanks, Emma. Sorry, I just had a bit of a frog in the throat there, a tickle, so I had to get an instant refreshing glass of water from the Dünya Aquatic Center. Yeah, it looks like another goal being put in by Turkey. Extreme pressure being applied to that defense, and it's a constant bombarding. What sort of, Emma, I'm interested to sort of dive into sort of the training. You've been up in the Yukon for, you said 4 months of the year, is that correct?
Yeah, so I moved down there at the beginning of May, and then I'll be down there until the end of August.
So you say down there. So yes, number 12. Number 12, Sinis Dimis has put the 4th Turkey goal. You say down, but if you're in Vancouver, isn't that up to the Yukon, or is it down to the Yukon? Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm throwing you off on the global positioning.
It is more north, yes.
Yeah, for us that's up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Down here, down under. Down under in Tassie. Are you going to spend some time down here in Tassie, or are you heading straight back to uni or back to the job?
I have to go straight back to work, so I'll be leaving Sunday right after the comp. Wish I'd be staying longer, but I need the money from the job, so.
Yeah, well, you can always come back. We always need engineers down here, and particularly airport ones.
Mm-hmm. I do like to travel, and civil engineering is one of those things that can take you anywhere.
That's right. And so how long have you been playing hockey for, ma'am?
I've been playing for 5 years.
5 years all at the uni. Have you come across a very good friend of mine, Gord Lavery? He's an old stodger from a long way back. He used to run the Canadian Federation at some point, but now he's a bit more sessile and is a bit retired from the paper mill down in Vancouver. But I'm in constant contact. He was hoping to meet me in Quebec because you're hosting the World Championships in Quebec in 2018. You going to be part of that?
Yeah, I'm trying out for the elite women's team, so our final tryouts coming up in August. So if I make the team, then yeah, I'll definitely be there.
Do you have your selections in August, as you were saying? Is that a separate competition, or is that during your? Do you have provincial championships or national championships of some sort, or?
We have national championships every May, and that's really it, because it's usually one province can only field like 2 to 3 teams, so it doesn't really make sense to have provincial championships.
Right, so you don't select your team there, so you're all going to travel to Quebec for the selections, or where are you doing selections this year?
We're going to do the selections in the actual Worlds pool, so it'll be probably scrimmaging and just a regular training camp.
Fitness tests, as coach like to do. I like to run my boys through some fitness tests, and I'm sure they're all whinging at the thoughts of our selections, which will have as the Turkey players have gone in for by the looks of it a 5th goal against the Canadians. Yes, we got the signals from all the referees, and it looks like number 9 this time. Bertram, I think that's his 2nd goal of the game, and. Again, the Turkish team is showing a dominant display of hockey here against the Canadians, I think he actually changed that to Mertcan, number 8, who scored the goal. The deck has given us the indication. Yeah, and Murkaf has scored the goal. That's the confirmation of the bench. As the Turkey again driving it through the middle. It's pleasing to see that the Canadians are actually putting up a good defense on the first and second wave. But unfortunately, with that many Turks coming down, cycling in, the fitness level of them, they're actually making 4th and 5th attempts on this. And we got number 5 from the Canadian team, Franco Leve, who's trying to hold off the onslaught from number 11, Kuskin, of the Turkish players. And again, they're recycling it back, holding possession. There's number 5, Franco again. Emma, do you know these players? Do you get time to spend with each other?
I have met most of them. Some I know better than others. I'd say I'm probably know the coach the best because he was my coach in Spain, and he's also from the Calgary club, so he's somebody from the West Coast as well.
So you know Jordan, an elite player, and are you going to have the opportunity to come join us in Hawaii in September?
Yeah, I hope to be there in Hawaii. We had a lot of fun in Hawaii, I don't know.
Yeah, it's about 2 years ago. It was a year off on the other side of the South African tour in Stellenbosch. We're all heading there. We're bringing elites men and elites a women's side, and we'll still be in squad. But by the sounds of it, it looks like you might have your team for that. Is it just the ladies selection, or is it both men and women's selections?
I'm not sure when the men's final selection is, but the elite women will be sending their team.
Right. Yeah, I spoke to Jordan yesterday about the players he's going, and unfortunately, some of he said, it's very expensive sports for all of us because we aren't paid professionals. We do this as we've heard from you. You're an engineer and you like to travel. One thing is you do travel playing underwater hockey, but it does cost us a lot to travel. And looks like the Turkish have put number 6 in, and the referees have confirmed that, Emma, and it is number 6. And I think that it was number 12. Sinis Demir, who's popped in yet another goal for himself as the Turkey play bus. What sort of, I know this might be, how much did it have to cost to travel this way, including team costs, roughly about $5,000?
Yep, that would sound about right.
Yeah, yep. And that's hard for, this is your first year working, or are you sort of still doing uni and work?
I'm in my later years of uni, so I pretty much work every summer, and that has usually been able to get me through the year, but this year I had to work a part-time job as well as full-time uni and training in order to get here.
And fit in training in between that. I'm sure the coach is listening intensely to make sure that you did put a lot of I'd be interested when it looks like the Turkish are making another drive. Maybe they'll score, but I'd like yes, they have scored another goal, and we're just waiting on the confirmation. Yes, the goal scored, and it looks like that's either a 2 or a 3, but I'm not sure. It might be Mert and Roll. He seemed to be involved in a lot. I'd be interested to hear you because a lot of our players are like yourself who have jobs and 2 or 3 jobs, and they're at uni, and they it is. Yes, we have confirmation. It was number 3, Mert from the bench. How do you? What's your day, a week like for you? I know it looks like we got a timeout called, but what's your normal week for you? Pick a week, and how much training you get done. Remember, the coach is listening.
If I'm in university, I find a lot easier to find the time because I'm not good at studying in short periods of time. I like a little bit longer. So if I have a 2-hour break between classes, I'll usually try to take a trip to the gym or to the pool and get my training done that way. And then I also feel awake for my classes. So it works. I find it works better when I'm in school, whereas when I'm working, it's like you have to leave work and go to the gym or the pool or wake up super early. So
yeah, I made a mistake. It wasn't a timeout. It's 7-0 at halftime, and I'm sure Jordan is, as we see them, focusing in on what they're doing, and he's putting lots of gestures off there. If I can read him collecting, he's saying you got to recycle faster in defense. You got to get flatter on the bottom because I did notice that they were attacking with a strong Turkish team, bit hard, but they're looking intent and. Jordan's given the clear instructions at halftime. Is this the sort of thing you hear from your coach at halftime?
Yeah, I think we're in a similar situation to the Canadian men, so I think Jordan's probably telling them to stay calm, to regroup and support each other and have a good game.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see what goes on the Turkish side because obviously with a 7-0 dominant a display again of hockey against the Canadians, what the Turkish coach would be talking about, he's probably trying to ensure that his players stay calm and enjoy playing and keep doing what they're doing because 7-0 up, it's a hard ask for the Canadians to come back, but I have seen it before.
That would be very, surprising almost. Like, I think that's a really good comeback.
You're saying it's a big ask for the Canadian boys.
I would say that.
Well, I've seen them play all their games, and I can tell you, Emma, like you, I've seen a few of your games on here, and you guys don't give up until the last siren goes.
Yeah, we tell each other that each new play is 0-0, so just go down and play hard, and so I think we've had a lot of good plays out of it. Few of them have made it into goals, and a lot of it is like saves that we're proud of.
Yeah,
we're having a good tournament, we think. So
yeah, a bit small saves, small goals within the larger overall goals and stuff like that. Your team is it fairly young? I mean, I don't want to be too personal here, but how many more times at 23s can you venture into, or is it now seniors for you?
This will be my last U23 Worlds, but about half the team will be able to come back to the next one.
Oh, that's good. And I guess you're looking forward to the transition to the senior ranks?
Yeah, I was on the Canadian team in South Africa, so I hope to continue to work hard and be able to be a member of that team. You
were there. Sorry, we never met there. But then again, we weren't doing this sort of things, and you were in one pool and I was in the other pool. As a Turkey started the second half, 7-0 up, have taken an onslaught. They've been pushed back into defense by the Canadians, and whatever Jordan said at halftime, it sort of worked, but the Turks have countered, and it looks like a risk-reward type of situation happened, but the Canadians risked by pushing all their players up forward and left their back line a bit exposed as the Turkish team make a swim into the goal tray.
The refs are calling something. Looks like they'll be awarding a goal for Turkey.
Sorry about that again. Man, that frog snuck back in my throat. You're where did you always been in Vancouver? Or you said you were in somewhere else? That's a goal, and it was number 12. Number 12, Sinis Demiris scored that goal. It's now 8-0. That was a wonderful start by the Canadians' drive through the middle of the pool. Unfortunately, they couldn't sustain it for very long, and the Turkish countered on that. What do you think of that drive, Emma?
I thought that was a great push. They went straight up the pool and kind of had Turkey on their back feet, but unfortunately they were able to regroup right in front of the net there.
Yep. And again, we've had another strike by the Canadians and won it, but the Turks are countering again and pushing the Canadian back line back as they're struggling, and then we have another run to goal. It's something I see very often at this level, Emma, is that I know a team who's has to throw some caution to the wind and go for the goal does expose the back line. And that happens. We never saw who scored that goal, but it's number 9 for the Turkish, and the 9th goal, for the Turkish team. Not number 9, but we might get confirmation from the bin. But it's a strong. Whilst the Canadians come out very fiery, they're not being able to sustain it, and the Turks have countered and leave their back line to be exposed. Emma, do you? Your backline set up, you usually play a 3-2-1, a 3-3, or a 2-1, as the Turkish, again, have gone straight through the Canadian defense. And I'm sad to say there's a bit of sluggish happening there. I think the boys are feeling a bit down on that one, and number 12, Sinis, has popped in another one. What do you think, Em?
Yeah, I'd definitely say they had a great push at the beginning of this half, but they are probably feeling the fatigue and just the strength of the Turkish team. Like, they're the previous world champions, so they're obviously a strong team.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but 5 of those players actually played in the senior team who won silver medal against us in Stellenbosch, so they have a very strong team.
I did recognize a few of them, but I wasn't sure how many of them were
by our
returning
counts,
players.
And by our namings, that's 5 of them. So I think the only one here on the Canadian team, I'm looking down the list here, is the coach, Jordan. Was he the only senior player in the
Jordan is the only senior player on the U23 men.
But I guess talking to Jordan earlier, there is some growth to happen in this team because it is a very young team. And we had Hugo, number 8 for the Canadian team, staying with us down here in Hobart. It was a pleasure to host a fellow Canadian. I know his fellow housemates, which is nicknamed Rat Mansion. I don't know if you're aware of that, but it is because it is what it is. It's just a nickname. There's nothing about it, because I think someone saw a rat some years ago in it, and hence the name is stuck on it. But he really enjoyed being here. It was a pleasure having him here. He is, I think he is from Quebec City or somewhere nearby in the Quebec province.
Yes, I'm pretty sure. I think that sounds right.
Yeah, and how often, I noticed you said that the Canadian selections, you have it separate from the men. That's usually a bit different from how we do it here in Australia. So you have, do you know when the men's selection is? Or I think you might have indicated that you didn't.
I think it'll be coming up. I think the men usually select their team a couple months later than the women, so they'll probably be selecting in September or October.
Yeah, sorry, just as we were chatting, the Turkish team has popped in another one, and I'm not sure if that was number 11 or 10. I'm beginning to lose track, but I think the scoreboard says it's number 11. Or we got a referee disallowing that goals because they saw a bit of a incidental glove. How are you finding the surface? Thing I've been telling some of our viewers is that, it's not a bad flat surface, but it still bounces around a bit.
Yep, the surface is quite fast. I'm more used to a bottom with a lot more friction, so I've just been having to adjust a little bit, because if you don't quite have control, the puck can just go flying. Yeah,
those sim pucks, which are sold by Can-Am, and I think they're from the Brits. Buses, the Brits are again preparing the Canadian team, and I think this one's gone in. Do we got? No, we've got a signaling from referee indicating it was a gloving. So no goal. It had to come off. Have to come off this, and that's the point we're just talking about. Very slippery pool in Hobart. Are you used to playing on the sports court? Because I think in Calgary, I think in 2002, or was it 2004, that we played on the sports court?
They currently practice in the Talisman Center, so that one's not a sport court. It's big, large tiles similar to this, but a little bit slower.
Like, you saw how slippery it is here. You're saying it's noticeably slower, or just
I don't practice at Talisman a lot, but it's definitely faster than the old aquatic center at UBC, which has since been demolished. But yeah.
And I think the puck selected for that championships is the same puck you're playing here. Is that a benefit, or do you see changing for pucks a bit of a challenge?
You mean for the Quebec City Worlds?
Yeah, the Quebec City Worlds.
No, I think that bottom's similar to this. I think the major challenge there is going to be that it's 3.5 meters deep to get to the bottom of that pool, whereas this is a lot quicker of a dive.
Yeah, this is only 2 meters, and is that a challenge for the Canadian hockey teams? But I know you have the home court advantage being in Quebec City, but you're like us, you're spread out all over the country, so. Traveling from the Yukon as the Turkish team are pressing again for goal 11, and it looks like it's in the tin. What do you call them? Nets. I think Jordan uses net. Do you use net, or do you use bin, or what's the tray? The goal tray. What do you use?
I usually call it the net.
It's interesting. Where's the net come from? There's no net there, Emma. I'm curious. Are you making your reference from ice hockey?
It probably is picked up from ice hockey. A lot of the sports we play in Canada involve a net, so I think trying to explain underwater hockey to people, it makes more sense in their heads if you just call it a net.
Yeah, fair enough. As a young child, I grew up in that net, always stuck in my mind. But moving to Australia and for here for about 30 years, over 30 years, and playing hockey, started in Toronto, Canada, in Kipling Centre, and went to university in Peterborough at Trent University, and hockey was a very rare thing unless you were playing, put your skates on and go on the ice. Is that the same sort of reaction? I see you smiling at my comment and laughing at me. It's the same thing for you. You're getting exposed as now, still in Vancouver? Is the game recognized as underwater hockey, or people look at you weirdly like they do somewhat here?
People definitely look at me weird, like I've never heard of that. How is this a thing? Is this a new sport? And I tell them it's been around for quite a long time, but has a steady and very committed following to it. I've recently started a club at my university, so I'm hoping to see more young players come through that, and hopefully people step up and take a leadership role in my club when I graduate, because I'd really like to see that happen.
And just as we're talking, the 12th goal is put in by none other than number 12, Sinisterma. So I wonder if he'll remember that as a moment. And if it was 12 minutes left to go, I think that we sort of have a connection there. But this is a dominating performance. We only had one moment at the start of the second half, Emma, when the Canadian drive through the middle of the pole put it close to the Turkish goal, but hasn't been there ever since. And I'm hoping you might be able to insight how these boys are going to be feeling after a game like this, and how long does it take after a game like this to recover from such a demonstration of strong hockey. And just then, number 11, Kuskin has popped in another one for number 13.
I think at some point you kind of recognize that maybe it's not the score on the scoreboard that makes it a win for your team. Like, they're probably having things that they're working on that is showing them that they're improving, because maybe Turkey's best won't beat their best. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does. And a correction on that, the last goal wasn't put in by number 8, it was put in by number 6, Sedin. And I apologize to the Turkish viewers. Number 6, Sedin's put that in, and Canadian coach Jordan Fries has called a timeout, and this gives an opportunity for Coach Kadar from the Turkish team to go talk to his boys. And I think you're right there, Emma, is that individually they're probably working on individual things. You got the score sheet, the game sheet for today. I'm just reaching for it. That's Sunday. Here we got the 4. The under-23s, which we're into now, only have one session today. Looks like you finished your session for the day, so you got the rest of the day off. Is that right?
Yep. We have the rest of the day off, so
yep.
We're out here supporting the boys. I think there's a few of us in the stands and then a few of us doing our grocery shopping.
Right, and you're here giving a lovely commentary. It's been you enjoying this commentation on game. Are you going to make this a habit? Are we going to do this in Quebec?
I don't actually know. The Canadian ref that we sent, Hugo, I think he's in charge of sorting something like this out, so I don't actually know what's being planned. I'm not a part of that.
Well, now you have inside experience. You'll be able to provide, and we're talking about Hugo. I forget the referee's name. It's not Hugo Daniel, number 8 of the Canadians. It's Hugo Savard, the Canadian referee here doing that, and that's how are you enjoying the refereeing from your point of view?
I think it's been pretty fair so far. They've been noticing things that they should be noticing, so I don't know. I don't have any complaints right now.
Yeah, that's a fair good. I mean, I think they've been pretty consistent. Is that something you found? They're consistent, as you indicated, and pretty fair. And I think that's their aim of the game, is to make it fair for both sides on it. As we see the Turkish trying to work it through the middle of the Canadian defense and spread, but the Canadians are recycling really well and making sure that they clear the puck to their strength. And we see number 4 there, Remy, and we won't pronounce his last name because it is as Stuart Parkinson calls it, a bit of a coat hanger of a name because it hangs it out there for us because we have to hesitate. But he's recycling, and they're trying to work through it. But the Turkish are they're still down there in their numbers, and so are the Canadian boys. And as we see there, that's what we were talking about earlier at halftime, was the Canadians were getting down in a sort of an angle positioning, not getting strong behind it, and it's something you'd have to do very strongly against the Turkish team, is being flat on the bottom. Do you work hard on positioning of your play, Emma, in your team?
Yeah. I think we can see that the Canadian men in their drive are getting down and checking hard, and so I think that's why they were able to get far, but I can't really tell what happened there for Turkey to turn it around.
Yeah, it looked like they just stole it and ripped it off the player, and unfortunately the Canadian trying to steal the puck, as I said, was on a bit of an angle, but the Canadians are better positioned now in being flat, and again, that was a very vicious attack, and I think, yes, he's being violently signaled by the referee. Unfortunately, you have made an error. That was uncalled for top, and I think he's going to get a 1-minute penalty for that. And hopefully the coach will be reviewing that and telling his players not to do that again, because playing number 4, Amar FN, has called that fouls, and he's sitting out. That was black. He's been asked to sit in the bin, and I'm sure the coach will have words, because I think he's tired of his players sitting on that sin bin side of the bench, and they've come out here to prove a point that that's only 1 foul in a game. That's pretty good, kid, considering a few games I saw they had almost 3 or 4 players sitting in the bench.
That is definitely a lot of players. Yeah, I like to see a clean game with not a lot of throwouts. So, yeah, I guess it's good that there's only been 1 so far. Yeah, no, it's positive. I don't know if you caught the Glory Days show. You guys are not tuning in. You have to tune in every night and watch the Glory Days show. And Nick put the stats up there. And in this sense, in the 23 men's, not only they top of the table, but they're also top of the table for most kickouts and the time spent on the booth. And it's good to see that they've actually come out today with a view of eliminating that from their game. So a very positive step from it. But lo and behold, the referees has seen something, and another one's happening. So I think I jinxed them. It's the commentary jinx, Emma. Yeah, probably. I think Turkey probably relies on their strength, maybe more than swimming around other players. So I think just the more aggressive approach that they take ends up getting them called more often. Yeah, as we played most of those players in the final in South Africa, were you present watching that game where Australia we moved the puck away and we went away from their strength, which is their strength, and we made them swim across the pool, and we sort of tired them out a little bit, I think, and I'd agree with that. Display, and we were very, very happy to be successful in that campaign, given that during the round robin, I think we suffered a few defeats that we weren't expecting. Mm-hmm.
And how'd you guys go in South Africa, Emma?
We had a tight overtime win against Great Britain that got us into the quarterfinals, and played some hard games, and it only ended up in 8th place.
Oh well, that's okay. I mean, there's some pretty fierce competitions. Did you find that in South Africa?
That was my first time playing on the elites, but based off some people, the more senior players, it sounds like that was. They've been feeling like the Canadian team is a lot stronger and that we're continuing to grow. So I think I'm excited to be a part of the process now.
Oh, excellent. So. Yeah, that's good to see. And do you get supported? Where's the coach located?
The coach is located in Quebec City.
Right, and is it she, he, who is that coach? He,
Jill.
Jill.
Yeah.
Okay, so how does the communication styles? The Turkish are on the Canadian doorstep. The Canadians are repelling them and pushing it into the corner so they can actually defend. But I think, unfortunately, it's entered the tin unless the referees have seen something and they're looking. There's one signal, it's okay, and we have a goal, and that's the 14th goal, and it looks like number 11, Kuskin Orkin. There's two Kuskins in the team. There's Kuskin Yagis and Kuskin Organ. Here, Emma, why don't you have a go at a few of these names, because I'm absolutely hopeless at naming things, but what do you reckon? Is that this number 11 here, Kuskin Orskin Vara?
Yep. I am not. I think you probably pronounced it right.
Yep. And just on the end, the 14th goal went in as draws an end to the game. 14-0 against the Canadians, and another dominant display as they continue to top the table with New Zealand. And if that's the end of the boys today as well, I think they had one go. The next game up for us today, if I'm looking at the right schedule, we had Canada and Turkey. The next one up is France and U.S., another humdinger of a game that we're going to see. But what did you enjoy about the game today, Emma, about the Canadians game?
I really liked that the Canadian boys never gave up and they would regroup and attempt to drive it up the wall. Ultimately, they weren't able to capitalize, but I think they played a good game.
Yeah, and again, I think a shout out to Jordan, who has been working with these guys and indicated to me yesterday he's very happy about how the team is progressing through this tournament, building together. Because I think I did hear him talk about he suffers from a lot of the things that we suffer for in Australia. Very limited time together to play, and coming together in Hobart is where they sort of got together and started building on it. And we're getting to that pointy end. Hopefully, they can. Come through with a few more wins later on in the tournament.
Yeah, we'll see what they're able to do. Yeah.
Yeah, Emma, it's been a pleasure joining. And I'm sorry I talk too much, and a lot of people will tell you that Australian coach, he does talk far too much, and sorry to get an word in edgewise. So thank you for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, and I look forward to seeing you in Hawaii when we venture in that, and hopefully I haven't scared you too much from not coming back and helping us down here in the commentary. So thank you for taking the time and supporting the boys.
Yeah, thank you.
Howard joining us on the deck. Emma's going to have a quick chat to number 2 here.
Hey, so the camera's over this way. What do you guys feel like what do you feel you did well on this game today?
Well, in that game, I felt like we did some pretty good drives in the channel. Turkey play a very similar style to us, so our goal was really to get out there and kind of support each other and make sure we're going head-to-head with them and staying strong.
Nice. Were there any takeaways that you guys think you're going to have from this game? Anything that you guys learned or want to work on more?
Yeah. So a big thing was we noticed when we're all down and we're all on a roll and we're supporting each other, we really could get far. So we just want to make sure we keep doing that for the next games and, keep working hard and pushing and working as a unit.
Nice. Anything else you want to say? Shout-outs to people at home?
Hi, everyone in Canada who's watching. I'm glad you're up at like 3 a.m. to watch this. And a shout-out to Mac's parents as well because they've been watching a lot of our games. That's all.
Nice. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right, joining me on the side is the vice captain, number 11. And
My name's Orkun.
Orkun, welcome. Another dominant display by the Turkish boys. You got to be pretty happy with that game.
Yeah, we're happy. We're much more happy that we had less fouls in this game.
Yeah, we were commenting on the game. It was just at the end there where he had a couple of slippages, but I guess the boys were a bit tired after the game.
Yeah, I guess so. But we had so many difficulties in the previous games about the penalties. This game was such promising for us, really promising.
Yeah, no, that was really good, and it's really glad to hear that you've had those conversations. I saw you talking intently with Simon, the referee, to explain what was being called, and it's good to see you guys worked on. Well done.
Yeah, thanks a lot. We are trying to get better about the fouling.
Yeah, it's just we know the intensity of the game, and in this situation, the ferocity of the game, and coming and playing different styles, different referees, it all counts in that sort of things. Anyways, look, do you want to say hi to the folks and back home for us, and your supporters back there, and please do it in Turkish for us.
Yeah, I want to say hi to everyone in Turkey, all of our supporters. Is this the camera?
Yeah, the camera's down there where Harry is.
So,
he's waving, yep.
Hi to everyone, especially to the special ones. They know themselves.
Yep. Anything in your language you want to talk to them about?
Herkese çok teşekkürler. Desteğinizi bizden esirgemeyin. Finale gidiyoruz. İnşallah şampiyon olacağız son kez.
Yeah, thank you for joining us, and good luck for the rest of the tournament. Yeah, that's on the deck, and we're going to cut next to the next game. Emma, thank you for joining me on the pool deck and having some interviews happening.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Okay, you want to say anything to the folks back home?
Thanks to the Canadians back home watching and supporting us. I definitely like coming out of a game and have a couple text messages of encouragement. That's been really nice, so keep it up, and thanks for sending those.
Okay, thanks again, and we'll move to the next game. Thanks, Em.